Thank you for staying. Let's start by talking health and leaking roofs. Inadequate numbers of beds and furniture for staff and patients are key challenges facing the Continental Health Center in the Upper West region. The health center, established some 27 years ago, has since not seen the least bit of renovation. A 20-bed ward started 3 years ago to ease congestion at the facility has also been abandoned, according to reports by Rafiq Salam.
The Continental Health Center was established in 1996 by the government of Ghana through support from the Danish Development Agency, DANIDA. At the time of its establishment, it was the only health facility attending to the health needs of residents in Continental, Ga, Nyole, Taningna, and all communities surrounding it, and all located in the eastern corridor of the district, which was then under the Ward District. The health center is now 27 years old and has now been elevated to the status of a sub-district with 7 functional chiefs compound under it. It has a population of 8,813 people with 1 physician assistant, 36 nurses, 1 auxiliary staff, and 3 casual workers. The cruel reality, however, is that since the establishment of the health center, it has not seen an inch of renovation, thereby serving as a disincentive for both the clients and the staff. The workers, however, are undeterred in their pursuit of getting quality health care for the people. Emmanuel Potena is a physician assistant and in charge of the Continental Health Center.
Continental Health Center was selected as a model facility in the district, which is a plus to us. Also, at our end of year review for 2022, Continental Health Center was awarded the 3rd position with a citation, tabletop fridge, and some stationaries due to our quality of care and best performances.
The debate was held on the theme community engagement and participation, the key to improve health status of the people. It brought together all key stakeholders in the sub-district, including minority and settler groups, to deliberate on key issues affecting the delivery of quality health service at the Continental Health Center.
We have been able to form the Fulani community into the health sector integration. We have a Fulani rep in the sub-district health management committee. We have formed Fulani volunteers. We have them on board. We have formed Fulani mother-to-mother support group, and we have opened a Fulani mother-to-mother support group account for them, which is one of the first of its kind in the region, if not of the country.
Emmanuel Potena, however, laid bare some challenges they are facing despite the successes struck.
The facility, as you see, if you take a look at it, the ceiling, the zincs and the ceilings are leaking. And now we are going to the rainy season. Only God will see us through. The facility, if you look around, you can see a vehicle that is parked under the mercy of the sun. Whilst we are having challenges with transportation, how to move our clients, especially when we have a pregnant woman to transport to the regional hospital, is always a challenge. And it's parked under the mercy of the sun. The nature of our beds for our patients, both pregnant women and the general patients, is not in good condition, and it is an chairs to sit whilst we are taking care of our patients is a challenge. Even the patients don't have sitting places, and the few ones that we have, they are in bad state.
The assembly member for Continental electoral area, Amadou Kuri Hamid, is deeply worried about the construction of a 20-bed ward to ease the congestion at the health center, but whose construction has stalled. He appeals for help for its completion.
But it's almost 3 years today and nothing has been done. If you enter inside of it, part of it is collapsing, and I don't know. So as we speak, some of the patients are using it as a toilet room, and others are using it as what? Urinal pit. And it is also a hard out for thieves and criminals. So I'm therefore appealing to the public or any benevolent authority that can help complete this place for us.
Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam, Poyentanga.
Let's talk economics now. And a partner at Ishmael Yamson and Associates, Michael Yamson, has chastised government for not having a game plan for the IMF and World Bank spring meetings in Washington, D.C. in the United States. He says government's inadequate preparation for the IMF to conclude a program is problematic. Now, Mr. Yamson is cautioning government not to destroy household incomes in the name of securing an IMF program at all costs.
Government didn't seem to leave here with a game plan. And government has not been consistent in communicating its own game plan with Ghana. We are hearing government respond a lot to what the external partners are asking, are demanding, are suggesting, are offering. Ghana itself does not have a game plan. That, for me, is very obvious. Otherwise, there shouldn't even have been a hint of going back to pensioners, independent bondholders. Because remember, these so-called savings that are being asked of Ghana to demand from domestic bondholders, they are actually household incomes. So if Washington and the externals care so much about Ghanaian citizens and Ghanaian households and living standards, then the question becomes, how do you ask the government to come back and destroy household incomes in the name of debt restructuring? I think that there is a lack of understanding about what all this means for the average person on the street. We have left and gone to Washington without any political consensus about what it is that we are going to do about the fact that this government is unable to generate enough tax revenue. Ghana has an informal sector that's about twice as large as the formal sector. We are deepening the tax burden on the formal sector. The informal sector doesn't shoulder its fair share. And there's no political consensus to make sure that that is going to happen. Yet we are in Washington discussing. The economy is skewed. We are hopelessly tied into trade that we cannot finance. We haven't had a consensus on that. Yet we are in Washington speaking. People are beginning to starve in this country. One of your previous speakers talked about 65% of people in Ghana not being able to have adequate access to food security. And then we are in Washington talking about savings as if it's some technical thing. It's a very real thing. It's about people's incomes.
On now to our next story. The Secretary General of Africa's Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, Wamkele Mene, is worried countries such as Ghana and many others across the continent which are grappling with sovereign debt crises may not get increased funding or development assistance from the Bretton Woods institutions, as was the case in the past. The IMF is currently holding its spring meeting, where global economic recovery is key on the agenda for participating actors. Mr. Mene has bemoaned the situation, adding that Africa is not getting increased capital inflows. Blessed Soga was there and reports now from Cape Town.
So we're in the heart of Cape Town. This is where private sector from across African countries on the continent are gathering here as the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Business Forum opens this week. We're expecting the South African government to make its initial statement through President Cyril Ramaphosa, who will be gracing the occasion. But today's and this week's occasion is as part of moves by the Continental Free Trade Area to accelerate what is seen as the magic one that would transform many African continents through trade, investments and business opportunities. Is the reason why members from private sector, all international actors, including the AFTA Secretariat, are all gathered here in Cape Town with a view of hearing from the private sector their challenges regarding the Continental Free Trade Area, and to make plans and initiatives that will help to accelerate what is now being known as the African Continental Free Trade Area, which will create potentially over $1 trillion economy for the African continent. Activity started off with the Secretary General, Wankele Mene, raising concerns about the global economic downturn and how that is adversely, in fact, impacting African countries, including Ghana, which is now facing a sovereign debt crisis. He's been bemoaning the situation of a reduced support from the International Monetary Fund and other Western allies, which hitherto were giving aid to the African continent. However, given the situation in which many of the African countries find themselves, the belief is that through trade, Ghana and other African countries will be able to develop, and that's been key on the agenda for Wankele Mene. He's also hopeful that the business community will take advantage of the Continental Free Trade Area in order to increase business opportunities across the continent.
But what is clear from the statements that are coming out of Washington from Monday until the end of the week is that the direction of global capital is going the wrong way. Global capital is not coming south. It is remaining north. The sovereign debt crisis that we're experiencing in Africa, it's clear from what the statements that have come out that the posture is not to be sympathetic to the sovereign debt crisis in Africa. So the question then is, what do we do? In the short term, it would be good to have access to finance, but as I've just said, it's looking increasingly unlikely. In fact, what we are hearing is that the orientation for providing finance must move from development finance and fighting poverty to climate change. That's what we're hearing very, very clearly, that if you focus on climate change, all your problems will be solved. And you will not have any problems. So my own personal opinion is that we're not going to see increased volumes of support, development support, coming from the institutions whose mandate it is. Then the question is, what do you do as the African continent to build resilience, to make sure that when the next crisis hits, that you have the capacity to deal with that crisis. So intra-Africa trade is the best tool that we have at resilience. Intra-Africa trade is what is within our reach as Africans to mitigate the risk of reduced support.
Well, from trade, let's head to court now. And some lawyers are debunking the myth that always telling the truth in court will guarantee you victory. They contend that the ability to prove with undeniable evidence and facts is what may tip you for a win in court. Speaking on the law program, lawyers Musa Ahmed and Daniel Krang said cases had to be backed with well-meaning facts and a well-trained lawyer to assist you.
When you go to court with your case, there are three fundamental things that you need to concern yourself with. And these are, number one, the facts of the case. Facts of the case. Number two, your evidence. And number three, the law that is applicable to your case. So a party doesn't just go to court to tell the court that this is the truth. We have to understand that there is nothing like truth before a case is gone into. When a judge sits to determine a case, the judge does not know the truth before the judge will go into the matter. And the truth that we concern ourselves with in court is a conclusion that we draw from your facts and your evidence. So when you have your facts and your evidence, and we marry them together, we decide whether they are credible conclusions that we can draw. And so when we say truth in court, we mean the establishment of credible, believable facts.
The Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development has announced the closed fishing season for both artisanal and industrial trawl fleets. The ministry says canoe and inshore fishermen are to observe the closed season for the month of July, while the industrial trawlers will observe the closed season for 2 months, July and August. Sector Minister Mavis Hawakumson implored the fisherfolk to disregard politicians who are going round promising to cancel the closed season should they win power.
Closed season is one of the fisheries management plans rooted in Ghana's fisheries laws aimed at recovering the fishery stocks. According to the ministry, adequate preparations have been done to ensure that the implementation process becomes a success. Deputy Minister of Fisheries Moses Enim read a ministry statement announcing the closed season.
I know that fishers are now relieved that the premix fuel distribution has resumed since March 2023. To curb the issues of middlemen, hoarding, and among other issues, I will be commissioning 20 of the completed premix automated outlets in different locations in the country. It is anticipated that by the end of the year, majority of the sites will have been completed and dispensing fuel. We have all discussed and agreed again today that any closed season gains will not be realized if we all do not collectively combat IUU fishing activities. I want to thank our gallant fishers and development partners for our continuous support in implementing the closed season and our stock recovery efforts. I am certain that if we continue for some time, we will reverse the dwindling trend of our fish stock. It is on this note that I hereby officially announce the 2023 closed season. Canoe and inshore fishers will observe the closed season from 1st to 31st July 2023. Industrial trawlers will also observe the closed season from 1st July to 31st August 2023.
Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Mavis Hawakumson, was upbeat that should the fishing industry stick to the closed season, the fishers themselves will reap the benefits of such an intervention. She warned the fishers to disregard the utterances of politicians who are going round to promise a cancellation of the fisheries management measure should they win power.
Point of correction, not responding to. I didn't respond. I was only advising to the fishers that they should be mindful of we, the politicians, that we always use them. I don't see a reason why a former president of Ghana will stand somewhere and say when he comes, he will cancel the closed season. The closed season is a law. It's backed by law. And so if you say you close it, then I beg to differ. He was the president of this country, and under his watch, there was cycle in this country. And we have all cried on this cycle issue that the trawlers are killing our artisanal fishers. So if you want to stop the cycle, then first of all, you have to also stop the artisanals also from doing their illegal activities. Then you can stop the industrial people. I mean, I wasn't responding to him. I was only trying to advise them and also let them know they are rather benefiting from this closed season more than any other person. Government does not enjoy in spending so much in observing this closed season. When we tell you the amount that is involved, you will realize that, well, it's not necessary for now. When the need comes, I'll let you know.
The ministry revealed government was engaging Ghana's neighbors to entreat them to partake in the closed season to ensure some maximum gains when seasons closes and opens. According to the ministry's report on last year's close season, there was an improvement in the stock of fish after the season, and the fisher folk were generally excited at the developments. Reporting for Joy News from Accra, Richard Kwejenyako.
That's a wrap for the news, but stay with us for the news review as we're joined by Joyce Bawa Mokhtari. We'll be right back.